Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. If you watch the news, you know we have a serious gun violence problem in our area, the state of Alabama, and in our nation. The stories come in daily of people being shot, attacked, and assaulted. The victims' ages can be as young as a little toddler, a child, of course, teenagers, and even older adults. The victims are female and male. So how does a community, a city, a state, and a country tackle this problem, this apparent epidemic? Now, what can be done to effect a change to the root causes of gun violence? There are several organized community-based groups locally and, of course, around the country working tirelessly to change these horrific events. Here's what our guest today says: I feel like the person that is closest to the problem is closest to the solution. Now, here's our guest's personal story. At a very young age, he says he was brutalized and traumatized by the environment that he was in. He witnessed the shooting and death of his father before elementary school. After that, he says he became hopeless, misguided, miseducated, with no strong purpose in life. He never took education seriously at that time, was constantly suspended or expelled out of school, which eventually led him to being put in jail. In prison, as a teenager, he would be transferred to 6 different facilities across the state. Over the next 14 years, he witnessed stabbings, murder, and violence. Our guest today on Perspectives, Chris Champ Napier. He's an author and involved with Faith in Action, Mobile Area Interfaith Conference, the Mobile Public Defender's Office, the National Association of Public Defenders, and he's also a community health worker. Now, after a quick break today, we'll talk with our guest, Chris Champ Napier, who is also the first person in Alabama to receive a pardon with a murder conviction. We'll hear from Champ about his life, his transformation to become who he is today, and how can our communities be transformed as well. Perspectives continues in just a moment. And welcome back to Perspectives today. Our special guest, Chris Champ Napier. And Chris, I want to always call you Champ. Is that okay?
That's good. Daddy must better.
All right. We want to welcome you to the program. And at a time such as this, because the numbers are not getting better, the situations in many neighborhoods, as you probably watch the news, and I have to report it, we hear of the different stories that are happening. Let's go back and share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll talk about some of the ideas you have for transforming the community to what it should be today. When you first, say, got on the track of making some bad decisions, did it stem from, you think, initially just seeing what had happened to your father and that environment that you're in?
Yes, I think that unaddressed trauma led up to a lot of my bad decision making as a teenager, as a youth. But as I look back at it, being a product of your environment is easy in our neighborhood to get something illegal than to get a decent job. So that's why today's time, a lot of our youth are being misguided, miseducated, and misinfluenced, thinking that they can get rich quick, fast, and in a hurry by participating in illegal activities.
I have to ask you, do you think some of the music videos and things that they see visually as a part of the enticement? Because as we learn later about some of the guys who are major rap stars and being very successful in the industry, already got an education. Some of them already finished a very good college, but it's that perception, that persona they're showing. You think that has a lot to do with it, complements what they may be seeing in their neighborhoods too? Music actually motivates us to make our decision making. That's just like during the time when you was younger. If you listen to Rick James, I'm in love with Mary James, you would want to go get you some Mary Jane. Okay. Even during the time, if you listen to gospel music, it'll be empowering you or impact you spiritually. Right. So even with the rap music, with the violence that's displaying, the misogynism, the profanity, it governs your behavior. It governs the young people's behavior and their attitude. So when I talk to young people all the time, I tell them that it's a difference between education and entertainment. The music that you listen to today is not your source of education.
That's entertainment. But we be so caught up in the moment and we want to live what we hear. But in actuality, the people that's actually doing the music, they're making the song, they doing it just to make money. So a lot of the times that, you know, even like I tell people that Scarface the movie did more than my psychic than Scarface the rapper. Because when I was young, a teenager, I was watching the movie Scarface. So I was influenced that, okay, the drug life, the violence, this is gonna be the way of life for me.
The wealth and the luxury.
Yeah, the luxury.
Yeah,
Get rich quick, fast, in a hurry. The glamorous life. How he went from being a refugee to being a neighborhood superstar.
When you hear, you mentioned the rap music, and one of the things that disturbs me a lot of times when I hear about the conflicts and the confrontations that are created, and right now 2 of the top rappers are doing this back and forth stuff. Is that going to lead to some problems, you think?
I don't really know, but it have led to problems in the past, but they got to realize that what the industry promotes for finance, for wealth. So the 2 people that's into it, that's are beefing with each other, neither one of them is going to benefit. The record label is going to make the big money. So it's always go back to finance.
And so you have to think about what you do and why you do it. So when you got into the incarceration phase and stage of your life, what happened in there that started your transformation to seeing what reality really was?
I realized that I was not, I would tell everybody, I wasn't a drug dealer. I was a victim of some drug dealers. I wasn't a gangster. I was just a victim of the system. So once you realize that you've been victimized by your environment and been a victim of the system for the majority of your life, I became conscious. And once that conscious level came, it made me start reading, writing, soul searching, and thinking. And I just transformed myself from within. You know, it's just like if you have a stomach virus, you have the illness have to come from within. So I had to change myself from within the prison system, and then develop a positive mental attitude. And I kept that same attitude once I came out and released, because a lot of people that's in jail and prison, the thing is they try to do, we'll fake it till we make it. But when you make it, you still got to be strong. You still got to stand on principles. You still got to have the same discipline. You got to be focused. And that's what has contributed to and led to my success.
Now, in that transformation, what you saw in prison, a part of when you got out, I think we mentioned earlier in the sharing about your life, you were able to receive a pardon with a murder conviction.
Yes.
First person in Alabama to receive that. How did that happen?
So my parole officer, it was a blessing in disguise, because he actually had confidence in me. And he had called me one day, I was at the gym exercising, and he said, Mr. Napier, I want to put you in for a pardon. He said, because if not, you'll be paying $40 to the state of Alabama for the rest of your life. At this time, I had been out of prison like 5.5 years. So he put me in for a pardon. I had to go pay some restitution, some back fees. And it took 5.5 to 6 years for me to go to before the parole board and to receive a pardon.
Wow, so still another 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, it took a long time because the investigating, and then they did an extensive background research investigation. I had to pay a fine. That's something I was arrested for in 1989 when I was 17 years old. I got arrested for minor in possession of alcohol. So it was like real intense background that took place.
They want you to take care of every
every little fine
detail.
that I had a fine for driving without driver license. I had to pay that. But even receiving a pardon, it was a blessing, because like I had told the parole panel, me receiving a pardon put me in a position where I can help other people understand that they can receive a pardon as well, because nobody had never actually heard of a convicted murderer receiving a pardon. So once I posted on Facebook, because social media was real popular, everybody started contacting me like, man, I heard you got a pardon, man. Is it something possible? And I was able to share the information with people that it's a possibility that you can be free. Right. And I had met people that I was locked up with in the early 90s, and they was still on parole 17 years later. But once that you're free, you don't really think about the possibility of getting a pardon, because you out here enjoying life. But you still got, I know people that have been light on parole for 17 years with a life sentence, and I was able to motivate them and help them to get a pardon.
Because that could change quickly out there sometimes.
Yes.
One little mistake and they've got you back again.
Yeah, because I know a guy, he went back for DUI. Ended up doing 11 years in prison on a DUI, but he was on parole for life, but he got a DUI and unfortunate circumstances.
Did you see a lot of injustice while you were in prison of people who should not have been there, or?
Yes, I heard of a lot of unjust stories. A lot of it were fabricated. One of the things that you hear a whole lot of, they'll sell your dream quick. But I know some people that's like, I got one associate. He's a positive influence. He did 47 years in prison. The possibility that he may never get out, but he's one of the people that I consider as a stand-up guy. He always encouraging young people not to get into the negativity of prison. Like, don't succumb to this environment. Even though that you're in prison, you don't have to be a prisoner. And he one of the people that I feel, and I know he's watching this, he should be free. But due to the nature of his offense, he might have to spend the rest of his life in the Alabama prison system.
He's already been there 47 years.
Yeah, 47 years. So I use that as a constant reminder that I gotta stay focused. I gotta stay crime free. I gotta keep positive mental attitude. I gotta use my experience as being released with a life sentence plus 7 years was a blessing in disguise for me. So I don't take anything for granted.
We're going to take a break on that, Champ.
Okay.
When we come back, we're going to talk more and talk about the things that you're doing today to make a difference in the lives of many others.
Thank you.
Perspectives continues in just a moment. Welcome back. Today we're talking to Chris Champ Napier on Perspectives in reference to life and transformation, I guess is one of the key words. Champ is now an author involved with Faith in Action, Mobile Area Interfaith Conference, the Mobile Public Defender's Office, the National Association of Public Defenders, and also a community health worker. Now, Champ, when did all of the, you were talking about what you realized you had to do, and it took 5 years, you're out 5 years, and when the parole happened, it took another 6 years to make that happen. So did you start on this new road within that early period of days or after you got the parole?
Well, it was something that I had visualized while I was serving life in the Alabama prison system. I had said that if God ever give me another chance to be free, I would use the rest of my life to change the falling of humanity. So for the last 19 and a half years, that's what I have been doing. Going into the schools, churches, the jails and prisons to share my experience, because people, my story resonate with the people who's being impacted by the criminal justice system.
So when you look at what you share with them, how are they receiving it? Because I know sometimes when you talk to high school kids, it's not quite serious enough for some of them, but are you able to reach them with your true to the point aspects of what is happening in life?
They actually embrace it with open arms, because I feel their pain, I can feel their anger, their frustration. One time a few years ago, I was speaking to a group of kids in Baldwin County, and when I looked out into the audience, I saw 3 teenagers with tears in their eyes. And I knew that they was going through the same thing that I was going through. Right. But the motivating factor behind it, I tell them, I went from being a high school dropout to accomplished author. I went from being a state inmate to a state employee. So that's a strong evidence that change is possible. So regardless of what you're going through, your immediate circumstances in your environment, you can deal with it, and your willpower can pull yourself out of it. That's one of the things that I learned when I was incarcerated. Booker T. Washington said, cast down your bucket where you are. Right. So we can pull ourselves from up out of the misery. Because it have been happening over and over again. So when I tell people, once you educate yourself and change your mind, change the mentality, and free yourself from that slave mentality. Because slavery did something to our psyche that we can never imagine. That was trauma too. Yeah, it was trauma. That some of the things that we had to deal with and our people deal with, but the psychological effect of slavery is affecting us now.
Yeah, and it's something that the bondage part of it may have gone away.
Yeah.
But the mental issues that were dealt with, and the denials, and the things that happened during the Jim Crow and segregation days.
Yeah.
All those, a continuation of it. It's amazing more people that look like us are not getting mental health checkups because of all of these things. So when you look at the problems that we're having in the community today, what are some of your ideas when you talk and share with the younger people of how to help get them on a better road, a better track?
You know, one of the things you just said, mental health, I think that the majority of African American people coming from poverty, coming from our neighborhood, we need to stop looking at counseling as taboo, because we need it. You know, even myself, from a personal perspective, I feel that I didn't need it for many, many years. But then when I just started working in a professional environment, I seen that, wow, we need it. So you know that even every day for me just to ride down 45, to ride down Michigan Avenue, and I see so many RIP t-shirts, so many Proud Vigil, Balloon Vigil. You don't think that deal with the human? So you think you're dealing with a child that's 17 years old, that he feel that his life expectancy is not going to be 21 because the majority of the kids that he went to middle school with is already deceased. So that's mental. That's mental health that we need to be addressed. So mental health, education, the social resource, we need resources to change our community, to make ourselves better, and to be powerful.
When you say education, you think about the education that's available from, say, kindergarten to 12th grade, and we find that we're losing a lot of our young men in that midst of the years, especially middle school and high school. How do we reverse it back to the way that, you know, I'm a little older than you, but what we saw, you know, back in the day where everybody was striving, thinking that education was one of the bridges to a better life?
When I say education, I'm talking about an education that would empower you, to change you. You know, and I tell people all the time that once we know who we are, have a purpose in life, we won't be so quick to put a bullet in each other's head. So I can't envy you or be jealous of you because you have a nice suit and tie. I gotta realize that if I get up and go to work every day, it's a possibility that I can have a nice suit and tie. I can drive a nice car. I can live in a place. So I'm not saying education from a textbook education. I'm talking about education for you know your identity and know who you are and know your purpose in life.
So how do we get that back into the midst of where the young people are? Because so many of our communities are separated now by economics, that, you know, people are not in where, when I grew up, everybody lived together in the same neighborhood. But now things are different. So how do we get back into the neighborhood so that we can reach out and do that education?
It's got to be a community effort. You got to be community minded. We can't be afraid of the people that we need to help. So like, even for myself, when I go into the neighborhoods, the person that's we looked at as the despised and rejected, I even must greet them. I give them doubt. I want to let them know I'm your homeboy. You know, tomorrow I can be out here with you, but we're gonna figure something out while I'm out here if I have to be out here. So, you know, we can't be afraid of the people. So how can I help you, support you, and I'm afraid of you? So we got to get rid of that fear. Fear is holding us back from being successful. Fear is one of the things that when we were talking about being in bondage, the Jim Crow, the slavery, it was fear that kept us in slavery. So when you free yourself, free your mind. One of the brothers said, free your mind, and the other thing will follow.
Right.
So, you know, we got to free our mind. So that was one of the contributing factors of my success. Even though when I was in prison, I was mentally free. So even though I was unemployed or unemployed for many years because of my criminal conviction, I still looked at myself as a successful person, and I knew one day it was going to get better. So we can't give up.
Control your thoughts and your
You got to control your thoughts and your actions.
You know, when you talked about the community and what's in place, there's a lady that we love dearly who always says, in Trinity Gardens, we have a church on every corner, but yet we are not able to reach out the doors of the church to impact the community. And so That's, of course, is one of the challenges that we do face, because there are some institutions in place, but how do we create that bridge between the two?
But is it connected? So the connection is lost. It's the church serving the community, because like I was telling a pastor not too long ago, if the church will open up their building, it won't be so many homeless people downtown. If the church will feed the people, I can go out and tell you about God all day, but if my stomach hungry, like Tupac said, I'm looking for a person to snatch.
Right.
So, you can open those doors up, but then, you keep them doors locked. I'm gonna eventually kick them doors in and come and get me something to eat. So we gotta open up those big over-decorated buildings, houses of worship, not just the churches, the Islamic Center, the Jews, Muslim craft. We gotta be in the community where the people are suffering at. We need to be where the pain is.
Never enough time.
No.
Can you believe we run out of time already?
Hey man, I'm grateful for being here.
You've got a lot to share, and we want to hear it. And of course, we'll have Champ back on another time. If you want to contact Chris Champ Napier, there's the information, email, as well as follow up with his website. Reach out to him, invite him in to talk to your young people, as well as other sections of the community. He will help make a difference. So remember, also, you can find all of the episodes of Perspectives on fox10tv.com or the Fox 10 app, or of course on our YouTube page. If you have any ideas for future programs, please drop us a line there as well. I'm Eric Reynolds. You have a great week ahead.